Although I hope you never do. I am sorry for what happened. Let's bring in our legal panel again. David Schwartz is a criminal defense attorney, and Paul Callan is a former prosecutor. And gentlemen, we're going to get right into this. Have you heard anything like this in a courtroom before, Paul? I mean, in terms of a tape being played that had this sort of temper to it?
Well, no, I can't really say that I have heard a tape like this in court before. I mean, in truth, I've seen much worse, because you see allegations of physical violence against children. You see child abuse allegations that come up in custody cases. You don't really see this sort of, that this was just a temper tantrum and maybe not a reason to take custody or visitation away from him.
David, how much as a defense attorney do you look to, if you will, the Kim Basinger angle in all of this as being the reason for it, and try and place some fault there?
Well, I think what you want to try to show the judge is that this really is an aberrational act, that this tirade is a one-time thing. Certainly the judge is going to look into whether or not this is part of a pattern of conduct and behavior, and part of the judge's investigation should be taking that 11-year-old child, bringing that 11-year-old child into chambers and finding out what the real deal is here. But obviously, if you're arguing for Baldwin, you want to try to show that this is a one-time thing. He just lost his temper. Okay.
Might this tape impact the decision for custody in this case? What do you think, Paul?
Well, you know, the irony here, I think, is that, you know, Alec Baldwin's dealing with a 12-year-old, but he's acting like a 12-year-old himself.
I haven't heard that said, but you're absolutely right.
You know, I'll tell you, you know, we've all had temper tantrums with our children, but he goes over the line, I think, with the name calling, with actually insulting her and not criticizing her behavior, but really calling names. And, you know, I think in the end, I think a judge is going to be angry about it and maybe give him a lecture about how he should relate to his child. But I really doubt that it's enough to deprive him of custody or visitation of his 12-year-old. I hope he's learned a valuable lesson by the public humiliation he's being exposed to on the press throughout America.
I think he needs more than just a lecture from the judge, Paul. I think he needs some serious counseling. There is really no excuse to call your child. Sure, we all lose our tempers, and we're all not perfect parents, and there is no playbook. But to call your child those names, you little pig and whatnot, this person needs some serious counseling on how to be a father.
Well, you know, I agree with you. It's disgraceful conduct, although I have to say, most of us wouldn't want to be tape recorded maybe when we lose our temper.
Right.
And maybe you put him in an anger management course, and supposedly Baldwin has had trouble through the years controlling his temper, as do many people. But, you know, because somebody has a temper tantrum, you don't take their child away. So I think that's the bottom line
here. That's why you have to look into the pattern of conduct, and that's why this judge, he needs to have a conversation with the 11-year-old child to see what's really happening in this house.
And guys, I want to ask another angle of this, beginning with you, Paul, but I want you both to weigh in on it. The phone message was released by the website TMZ.com. Baldwin's lawyer has now asked the court to force TMZ to reveal who leaked that material to the website, because TMZ is not disclosing how it got the tape. Could TMZ be in trouble here, or are they just sort of the intermediary?
Well, this is very interesting, Alex, because supposedly there's been a gag order issued on this Basinger-Baldwin battle that's been going on for years. And
legalities between Basinger and Baldwin?
Oh, I totally agree. I think Basinger's the real issue here. And I think there's a lot of defenses for Basinger. Number one, she could argue that the tape was released before it was even presented into evidence. So if it wasn't evidence in the custody battle, then she could have released it to whoever she wants. And you have to understand, there's the court of law and there's the court of public opinion. And from a strategic standpoint, she really had to release that tape.
Well, I disagree with you there, because, you know, I'm looking at the welfare of a child here.
Of course,
and when you throw a child into the middle of a dispute like this, these things should be handled in private between the mother and the father, so the kid is not involved. You take a tape, you release it to the press, this poor girl is humiliated in front of her friends, and it's as a result of the conduct of probably her mother, but certainly her father, it's really disgraceful.
These are not normal, reasonable people we're dealing with. These are two people battling out, like you said before, they're acting like 12-year-old children, and I'm not surprised at all that to gain a strategic advantage in the court proceeding, she released the tape.
Okay, guys, I'm going to call that a wrap. Next hour, we'll talk to you about baby Danny Lynn and custody and all that. David Schwartz.